What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Anime Fiction. I'm back with a new episode on Father of Naruto was the Dark Lord of Darkness Part 3. And if you did enjoy this video, give this video a like, and if you're new on my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 5 Old Man of the Mountain, Dark Lord 331 Beta. Naruto had just completed ringing the bell, and as he looked out over the horizon, he let out a heavy sigh and started down the flight of stairs. But as soon as he got to the second to bottom floor, he noticed a white masked man standing there in a black cloak. He was just standing there, arms extended wide, staring at Naruto. "Ah, so you're the fabled warrior who rang the bell. Splendid, truly splendid. Okay, and you are? Ah, forgive me. How rude of me not to tell you," the man said as he lowered his head and spread his left palm upward and backward. "My name is Oswald of Cairn, and I'm here to ask if thou wishest to cleanse thy soul?" Naruto cocked his brow. "My sins are from my previous land, that to be technical, they would say I should be grateful for everything I've been given, and do as I'm told." The man laughed as he stared at Naruto. "Ah, what an amusing young man, you truly are a one-of-a-kind individual. Thou hast nothing to fear if all thy transgressions are with others in faraway lands. Ah, what an amusing young man, you truly are a one-of-a-kind individual." Naruto nodded his head and looked over most of his belongings, which included 3 rings, some kind of black stones, and a little book with writing on the cover. "I'll take both of those. Excellent choice, my friend, and may I offer you some solicited free advice?" Naruto extended his hand and traded the souls for the rings, the stones he threw away with his power, and the book. He just put the rings on his finger and felt something encircling him but ignored it. "What exactly is it?" "I would be wary of the people you trust in this land. Not all can be of great promise, and I dare warn you that some are not all they seem. Be wary and careful what you share. It could mean the end of something or a light if you are not vigilant." "Fine, it's not like I wasn't going to do it, but is that all?" "Yes, you may be off, and do be careful, my friend, who knows what the world has in store for you, no." Naruto nodded and walked back through the church, passing through the entryway and down the ladder to the first floor. He noticed the remaining white spirit on top of the corpse, as well as the caged-off location under the stairway. Naruto went to the corpse first, and after laying his hand on the light, he managed to draw it back into his body, but he sensed something was wrong. "Do I feel any different, Kurama?" "No, but for some reason, this soul appears to be emitting something else. Best to keep it until we learn more. Hey, why don't we take it to that woman in the cage? Perhaps this is the stuff she was looking for." Naruto nodded and walked to the elevator, where he descended to the point when the elevator door opened. He smiled as he realized he was back at the temple. "Well, that's easy enough, I guess." Naruto observed some people while walking through the temple. One was a woman dressed in white, 2 knights in heavy armor stood nearby, a man dressed in red and blue armor with a mace and shield, and finally the golden knight from before, sitting by the bonfire and staring outward. Naruto deduced from their presence that everyone had traveled here or arrived at some time while he was fighting the gargoyles. But he wasn't in the mood to amuse people at the moment, so he swiftly strolled through the shrine's base and to the fire, where he smiled when he saw the pessimistic man sitting there with a bored expression but looking at him in surprise. "Not bad, am I the hopeless one?" the man snorted and said. "That was the easy one. The next one is in Blight Town, and you're not going to get there alive." Naruto could only sigh and shake his head before returning to the confined woman, the Golden Knight's gaze following him. The knight did not flinch as he turned his head. He merely sat there, with no discernible movement or expression on his face. To be honest, it frightened Naruto. "That dude, Kurama. Yeah, I noticed something different about him, and it's concerning. Should I keep an eye on him? At this point, he has done nothing to us or anyone else, and starting a fight would be a bad idea, so we should probably leave it alone unless we want to lose any potential allies in this town." Naruto nodded and walked down the stairs, eventually arriving in front of the woman in the cage and sitting down in front of her. "Hey, I have a question." The woman stared at him with a small twist of her head. "Well, I found this strange soul while I was in church and wondered if it meant anything to you. I mean, I think you mentioned, or at least demonstrated to me, That there is something you can do for me with certain material, right? The woman gently bowed her head before she noticed him holding up the white soul in front of her, causing her eyes to widen. The woman held her hands out, and he grimaced. You want this for something? She nodded and pointed to something on him, and he looked down to see the strange flask that guy had given him a while before. He hadn't used it yet, but he knew the man had given it to him for a reason, so he kept it in case it came in handy. Naruto took the flask and handed it to her, and as he held it, he noticed the white energy encircling the flask for a brief second before it stopped glowing. He grabbed the flask from her grasp as she held it back. She made 3 motions with her fingers, but then added another. So, I can drink more from the flask than I could before? She nodded her head, pointed to his body, and made a drinking gesture with her hands. So this can heal me when I'm injured. You do know that I'm not like the rest of the people in this region. She motioned with her hands. It doesn't matter. Will it still work? She smiled as she nodded her head. Naruto sighed as he looked at the flask and set it down. Well, thank you for doing this. Is there anything else you require? The woman shook her head and grimaced. Okay, well, if you ever need anything, I'll be more than happy to help, and I'll also be careful when finding more of these souls, okay? She bowed her head and grinned. Naruto waved to the woman before walking back up the steps. He notices the depressed man staring at the ground while the Golden Knight sits there staring at him. Naruto walked by the man with his eyes narrowed. I'm going to have to keep an eye on him, and if he goes missing, make sure to track him down because something tells me we need to be more cautious around him. Agreed. Something about him seems off, like I don't know, but remember how Orochimaru felt dark and twisted. Yeah. For some reason, this guy seems to exude a more evil aura. Naruto kept walking until he came upon a huge man with a sun mark on his chest and a mace and shield in his hands. Naruto observed the blonde man standing there looking at a group in the corner with a woman sitting on the grounds with her hands in a prayer. Naruto cocked an eyebrow at them, wondering what their problem was, but figured it wasn't relevant, and the last thing he wanted to do was intrude on someone's private life. He despised it being done to him, so why should it be done to someone else? Naruto turned and decided to return to the merchant in the dead city, hoping to obtain more items and possibly more information on the blight town that was described to him. Apparently, he couldn't find the entrance when walking around the church, thus it makes sense for him to go around the city for an alternative. As he walked across the rooftops and back to the bonfire, he began to peer over the edges and noticed streets below him with fire roaring all around him, and he wondered. How did you get down there? Naruto remembered the key the merchant had sold him and decided it was worth a shot, so he went through the bonfire and began looking around an adjacent area that led to the Black Knight he had battled in a gate door. Alright, let's see if this works. He inserted the key into the lock and turned it, and the gate swung open. Alright, that works. As Naruto continued down the steps, he came across an undead heading downwards and immediately sliced off his head. Pissed off. Naruto saw the streets as he walked down the twisting stairs, but in the distance he noticed a bunch of canines wandering around along an alleyway leading to the north. Naruto looked at them and noticed something flowing from their mouths. Poison fantastic, the last thing I want to do is drink too much of it. Naruto drew his sword and walked down the street. The dogs growled at him and charged him the moment he reached the foot of the stairs. Naruto observed the dog's motions, and when one leapt into the air to bite his head, he deftly sidestepped and cut the dog in half. He stabbed into the face of another dog, cutting it at the tip of its jaw, spinning on his heel. The final dog charged him, but he smiled as he sheathed his sword and conjured a throwing knife, which he launched into the creature's throat, killing it on the spot as it fell to the ground with a thud and a short slide. Naruto sighed as he watched the dogs vanish and a light engulf him. Thank God. I love animals, but this is cruel, he said, turning his head and narrowing his eyes. What is that? As he strolled down the street, he approached one of the houses and stepped in after knocking by slicing the door to parts. He was wearing a black helmet and appeared to be stuck in a barrel behind another set of barrels. Can I ask how you ended up in a barrel? It's embarrassing, but I may have played a role in this when I tried to hide from some of the city's monsters while looking for my master. Okay. But why in a barrel? Most people don't look in a barrel, no? Naruto dripped perspiration. Right, so you need some help getting out? I'd really appreciate it. Naruto rapidly sliced through the barrels to free the man, who was dressed in black robes and wielding a staff. Thank you very much, sir. I greatly appreciate your assistance. No problem. You said you were looking for someone, right? Yes, but for the time being, I'm going to retreat to the bonfire shrine on the cliff. I think I'll be better off there for a while, especially now that I've gotten my bearings. Naruto nodded and watched the man leave, but he shook his head. Man. People hide in the strangest places, Naruto said with a smile. I'm glad he's feeling positive, though this whole place feels so bleak, so it's nice. Naruto walked out of the building, and when he saw that the street ended at a gate, he decided to abandon his exploration for the time being and return the way the dogs were coming from. As he walked along the street, his instincts kicked in and he saw 3 cloaked beings spring out of the houses wielding daggers and gazing at him with sinister red eyes. Okay. So I don't think these guys are friendly. Naruto drew his blade and noticed that the daggers were wrapped in a purple material. Fuck. What's the deal with poison? The first cloaked figure charged at him, but he slashed his sword through his face, killing him instantly. Naruto cocked his brow. Am I becoming quicker? Another raced up to him and cut his side, but he let go of his sword and smacked him across the face. Naruto stomped on the creature's neck, killing him and snatching his blade. The other 2 ran at Naruto, who tossed the dagger at one of them while dodging under one of their swings and grabbed his sword from the ground. Naruto severed the ankles of the person who swung and angled his sword, causing its face to fall directly on his blade, killing it instantaneously. The creature vanished in a flash of light before charging forward and severing the final one in half. I'm stronger as well. Naruto frowned as he gazed at the disappearing bodies and then at himself, wondering what was going on because he now felt like he could take on the world. However, he swiftly shook his head. Don't get too cocky. You've already had a few close calls, and the last thing you need is a swollen head. Plus, looking at his missing arm, he frowned harshly. That's what produced your current dilemma. I should probably look for someone who can assist me with this. Naruto stood up and stepped inwards. He noticed another one of those fog gates, what appeared to be a stone bridge, and flora blooming everywhere, which perplexed him given that they were deep in the city. But he had to speculate that nature was starting to take back control, which explains the greenery in the region, or that there was simply a lot of water for the plants to thrive in. He approached the gate, placed his hand against it, and passed through. Fuck. Naruto rolled out of the tremendous stroke of 2 gigantic blades. When he looked up, he saw 3 growling dogs. Fuck my life, Naruto yelled as he dashed past the dogs, only to be pursued by them while narrowly evading another big swing from the monster. When Naruto reached the top of the stairs, he twisted and swung his sword, severing one dog and sending the others flying. When he realized the dogs were dead at the first hit, he smiled, but when he turned to face the gigantic monster, he noticed it was a bone-covered thing. It wore a bull skull around its neck and had 2 dark golden eyes. Naruto noticed the thing had a snout for a mouth and 2 distinct big blades in its hands. The thing was incredibly frightening, but Naruto TCHED for another reason. There isn't much room to walk around in this area, the staircase is broken, and there isn't much for me to move around on. That suggests he has the upper hand in this case. Naruto narrowed his eyes as the monster slowly climbed the steps, but he noticed that the stairs were cracking and breaking down the longer it took the creature to get up. He carefully sheathed his sword, summoned a dagger into his hand, and tossed it towards the creature's head, his eyes narrowing. However, it just dropped his head, causing it to bounce off the skull. Shit. Unsheathing his sword, the beast leapt into the air, but Naruto dove into the last section of the staircase that was off to the side of the rest of it. He smiled as the thing dropped through the hole and missed him by a mile. Bingo. While the thing landed with a thump on the ground, he sprang into the air and thrust his sword straight down into the creature's neck. The beast yelled in agony, and Naruto drew his sword out with a powerful thrust, leaving it screaming in even more agony with blood streaming out of the creature's body. Naruto realized the creature's blood was tinted, but seeing it stand up straight and him lose his footing, he swiftly hopped from the beast and distanced himself from him. Naruto noticed the beast stand up straight and approach him carefully. Its tail was dragging on the ground, and its snarl was low and guttural. But the creature rapidly grabbed its sword and whirled it around in a single motion across the air. It was quick enough to take Naruto off guard, but it missed him as he dove beneath the punch. He understood that this beast was probably faster than the monsters he encountered on the bridge and in the prison. He moved quickly and slashed at the monster's leg, leaving it howling and clawing at him. Naruto rolled behind the creature before slashing his back, causing it to scream in pain and slash him to death. Naruto rolled again beneath his assault, but this time one of his blades landed where he rolled. However, Naruto leapt backwards, falling on his back, avoiding the hit, and the beast snarled in disgust, undoubtedly thinking it would have caught him with that strike. Naruto swiftly rose to his feet and brushed himself clean. Not bad, big guy. Got to say you're a better fighter than the others, but it's this arena that's giving you the advantage, not your actual skill. Otherwise this fight would be over by now if I had my way. The beast roared and jumped into the air, bringing both with it of his blades down in a forceful slashing motion. He didn't notice until the human rolled forward beneath him, reappeared at his back, and sliced at his ankles, causing him to stumble to the ground. But it sliced at his head from behind, but Naruto shifted all the way to its left side and plunged his sword forward. When the beast was forced to release his blade, which became trapped in the ground, it roared. Naruto smiled. Got you now, asshole. Naruto slashed at the hand again, this time slicing it off and left it shrieking in pain, but it swiftly stretched out and swung its other blade at his head. After reading this, Naruto instantly ducked, causing the blade to collide with the handle of its other blade. The beast growled as he saw Naruto walk around the blade and stare it down. It yanked on its blade, but nothing moved. Naruto smiled as it stared at the sword. Fun, right? Hate it when your shit gets stuck and you can't pull it out? The beast roared and continued to pull on the blade, but it eventually discovered something piercing its neck and realized it was Naruto's sword. It grumbled, and blood spilled from its wound as it hissed and thrashed around in an attempt to free itself. But it didn't matter since Naruto just kept driving his blade in until the ground was covered with the monster's blood and he had some staining his face and hair. Now you must die. The beast moaned and gurgled before collapsing. The thing erupted in a dazzling light that engulfed him. He groaned before noticing something lying on the ground where it stood, and upon closer inspection, he discovered it was a key. He grimaced as he picked it up. I despise figuring out what shit is and isn't good for, Naruto groaned as he plopped down on the ground. But it's probably best to get some sleep now because I can't keep running on fumes, and that fucker left me on fumes. Naruto rose to his feet, walked out of the city's lower level, beyond the entrance, and sat down by the bonfire, closing his eyes. But, unlike before, he found himself in an unfamiliar location. Kurama, you're here. He grimaced because he couldn't hear the fox. What the hell am I doing? I can explain that. He reached for his sword, turning his head to face the new voice, but couldn't find the blade. But he instantly forgot about the sword and blushed at the woman who appeared before him. The word, striking, was inadequate to describe this woman. She was stunning to the point where all other ladies in his life paled in contrast and virtually had no value in comparison to her. If he had to be honest, this woman was on a different level. She had long flowing red hair, darker than his mother's but still lovely, brown eyes that shone, and a remarkable body that was practically on full display with him having to keep his eyes focused on the woman's near-perfect face. He hated to be a pervert, but her breasts were the largest he had ever seen. Tsunade was a D-cup in comparison, and she wore her beauty boldly and without vanity. Naruto paused for a few seconds before laughing. My, am I truly that stirring that you were rendered speechless? Naruto flushed hotly. No. I mean yes. He stuttered for a moment, I'm just not sure where to begin. The lady laughed. Well, I guess names wouldn't hurt, no? Naruto sneezed. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, but you can call me Naruto, and who are you? My name is Guinevere, daughter of Gwyn, and I am known as the goddess of fertility. Naruto's pupils dilated. Like you're a legit goddess? The woman gave a sorrowful smile. Unfortunately, she moaned, but at this point, with everything that has happened in this land and to the people, from the mistakes we have made as gods, that doesn't mean as much. Naruto's pupils constricted. What did you and your family do? She gave a sorrowful smile. That is a long story, but there is so much I can say without a shred of doubt played a hand in the evil and destruction of these lands and the kingdom itself. What happened, who was responsible, and what does all of this have to do with bells and stuff like that? The lady grinned. Almost everything. Do you know anything about the history of our lands and the Age of Fire? Naruto shook his head and said, I'm sorry, but I'm not from around here. She nodded, having already deduced this from her lengthy conversation with the fox. Well, it is a long piece of history, but I guess we can start at the beginning. In the ages of the earliest era where life neither lived nor died, there was a race of dragons known as the Eternal Dragons, beings so powerful and everlasting that it seemed they would live for all eternity. But after ages of being under their thumb, a new era began with the sparking of what we call the First Flame. A powerful flame that created Lord Souls. Lords of Souls? Yes, souls so powerful that they can only be used by a few beings and grant power beyond this world. I see. Naruto massaged his chin. I'm guessing your father was one of the users because you worship him as a god, correct? She nodded and used her magic to create a magical doorway. He saw an image of her father there. Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight and one of the inheritors of a Lord Soul. He was already a mighty king, but given the Lord Soul he gained greater power than ever before and the strength even to strike down the dragons. She waved her hand again and showed a woman with a hood hidden from view. Another lord was Witch of Izalith, a powerful woman who can craft fire spells with no effort and tear apart entire landscapes with her flames. I see. Naruto grimaced as he glanced at the photos. I'm guessing by combining their powers, they destroyed the dragons and thus ushered in a new era? Yes, the Age of Fire. She waved her hand, demonstrating all the good that was happening in the Age of Fire and all the god things that came from it, omitting a few essential things that she might have overlooked and even leaving out the kingdoms that formed from the ashes. But what happened? She bowed her head and grabbed her arm. A better question would be, what didn't happen to cause this? She stared at him. The truth is that so much was done to attempt to preserve the age and prevent the arrival of the next era, but the reality is that we sought to avoid the inevitable. We should have just accepted it and hoped that the following era will be better for all of us in the end. Naruto approached the woman in tears, saying, Did you personally harm the people? She began biting her lower lip as tears began to pour from her eyes. I had followers I failed to protect against someone. I had a child I failed to care for, and I failed to stand with someone when they asked me to do so, and I failed to stop. She knelt. I failed to protect the people against the brashness of my family. Naruto could see the anguish and embarrassment on the woman's face as she cried her eyes out. He sat down and hugged the woman. If you truly believe this, there is no reason to continue kicking yourself while you're down. The best thing we can do is press forward, trying to correct the faults made in this day and age. We must work for a future in which the agony is relieved and healing can begin. The lady sniffed. You regret not protecting them, you regret not standing up even if you couldn't, and you despise the suffering you inflicted on others. Then take this opportunity to make things right, to aid others, and to put an end to the pain. The woman came to a halt and gazed at the young man, noticing something she hadn't noticed before. A golden glow surrounding him and a nice feeling in her heart as she saw his little smile. You have a way with words, don't you? Naruto laughed softly. Yeah, people say I do and that I can change people's lives for the better. To be honest, I don't think much of it, but if it makes you feel better, what does it matter? The woman dried her eyes and grinned. Yes, but I should tell you one more thing. Naruto cocked his brow. I'm encased within you. This is the state of your thoughts. Naruto smiled as he gazed around at the greenery that surrounded them. Better than a sewer, at the very least. Guinevere burst out laughing. Yes, it is. Naruto fixed his gaze on her. Are you the one using all those souls to do something to me? She simply nodded. Yes, the souls are being used to boost your abilities and skills in order to help you fight all of the enemies that are coming for you and those that you will encounter later on. I promise you, they will only get tougher as time goes on, and we must be prepared at all times. Naruto simply nodded. You stop questioning reality when you've had a fox inside of you since childhood and have to rely on powers to face a goddess with some kind of black material produced from her essence. Alright then, Naruto said as he helped her to her feet, so, now what? Guinevere stared at him, then at his arm, and said. We should address your missing arm. Naruto grimaced and looked down. Yeah, unfortunately, this is becoming a problem, and having a second arm to work with would be great. But I'm not sure where to look for something to replace this. Guinevere laughed. I know someone, in fact. You passed his shop on your way through the church to fight the gargoyles. Oh, yes? Yep, that's Andre, and he lives in the ruins outside the church. Return to the elevator and exit through that door. Trust me, you'll locate him if you listen for the blacksmith banging his hammer on an anvil. Got it. Naruto stood up and was ready to awaken when he asked. You said there are 4 Lord Souls, right? What happened to the last one? That soul sadly is gone and I have no idea where it went, but be warned, those who are touched by that soul are corrupted and transformed, Guinevere said, frowning. Be cautious when touching it. Naruto frowned and was soon awakened by a brilliant light caused by the bonfire while pondering that last bit of knowledge. What exactly was the dark soul, and why was it so dangerous? Naruto had followed the directions and made it through the temple again, this time to his right. There he encountered a couple of undead, but Naruto quickly sliced through them and proceeded across the bridge. While walking by, he noticed a man sitting on a ledge wearing what appeared to be an onion armor set of some kind, but he was just sitting there with a blank expression. He appeared unhappy, but Naruto had more serious matters to attend to, such as locating this blacksmith who can assist him. He got it to the second story by walking through the structure, where he met Andre, a big man with a long silver bear who was pounding at an anvil. Naruto frowned as he noticed the man didn't carry himself with the same vigor as the others around him, yet he appeared to be sitting calmly. So, stranger, what do you want? Naruto tensed up before coughing. Sorry, is that your Andre? What about the blacksmith? What does that have to do with anything? Well, I was told that you could assist me with a current problem that I'm having. Oh? He looked up, saw the young man holding his empty shoulder, and walked over. I'm assuming this individual told you I could assist you get a replacement arm? Yes. I have souls to pay if necessary, and killing those gargoyles did help with this. Oh, so that was you. He grimaced. I have something for you, but I need to ask you a favor if I do this for you. Okay, so what? A forest leads to an abandoned workshop beneath the temple and out the back. There's something I need, and if you could get it for me when you're in the area, I'd be more than happy to hook you up with the new arm and maybe something else. He walked over to his stand and took 2 items from a bag on the ground. One was a metal arm prosthetic with all the attachable elements and such perfect craftsmanship that he was certain he could punch a hole through a wall with it if he wanted to. He wanted to try, but he didn't want to injure his arm. The other item was a massive sword, the biggest sword he had ever seen in his life, and he was truly impressed with it. The weapon was bigger than his entire body, it had massive weight throughout the blade, and the handle was made with a fine wrapping allowing for a comfortable grip. Naruto could see from the aura around the weapon that it had some wear and tear, but it was more from the countless battles and bloodshed. That appears to be a massive slab of metal. Technically, it is, but I refined the stupid thing, he groaned, but the weapon is so heavy that I can't possibly wield it myself. I'm seeking for someone who can hold or use this weapon to its maximum capacity. And you believe that's me? Andre gave a nod. You mastered the first bell, which is no easy task. But getting to the second one in Blight Town will require more than just your sword and swift feet. You're going to need something to even the odds, something that can take down the mightiest opponents in your path. Unfortunately, that is not the case. You can imbue it with elemental properties if you bring me the right material, he said, touching the massive sword. I'll think about it. Naruto smirked. Can I even hold such a weapon, Kurama? I mean, Zabuza's and Kisami's swords were large, but this thing dwarfs them. To be honest, I'm not sure. This weapon is unlike anything we've ever seen. It's nothing extraordinary, yet for some reason it gives off an unsettling atmosphere. Yeah, but if the obstacles ahead are truly that severe, maybe it's time to have something that can even the battle in a hurry for me. Kid, even if you could pick up the damn thing, there is no guarantee that you could swing it, let alone handle such a massive blade on your own. I suppose you're right. Naruto groaned and said. Okay, Andre, if I go into the forest, I'll find this blacksmith stuff for you, and then you can give me the sword, but for now, I think I'm fine with what I have. The man motioned him over with his head nodded. Let's get you situated. Naruto sat down on the ground and soon felt Andre attaching himself to his shoulder, the straps tightening around his shoulder and the spikes going through his shoulder to attach to the nerves. He gritted his teeth in anguish, but he endured because this was what he needed to maybe combat his opponents that were approaching. If what Guinevere was telling him was true, and he had no reason to doubt her, then there is a greater threat to face in this land, and the Lord Souls are at the center of it all. Furthermore, extending the time of this age may have created a new problem in general, but he wasn't sure about that. He wasn't sure about anything until he could get more evidence. Naruto could only sit in silence and close his eyes as he felt the nerves linked to his arm. Reminiscing over the last day. Return to the past. Naruto had a bad day the day before. Apparently after resigning from the shinobi force, they first called him to the Hokage's office, which he assumed was because he mutilated the Hyuga clan head, but he didn't care. He was tired of people talking shit about him and those close to him. What makes it okay for them to pretend as if they did give two shits in the beginning if they didn't? Plus, he was influential in breaking his relationship with Hinata and convincing her to move on to Kiba, so that was more of a dig at him. Walking through the village, Naruto noticed that everyone was giving him a wide berth, and he could see the angry expressions in Kiba's eyes when he passed. He apparently heard what he said and was upset that he didn't help Hinata. Tough crap, not my problem, he says. Naruto approached the Kage's office, where he was surprised to see everyone from his generation, including Neji sitting in the chair, Sasuke standing off to the side with a frown, and everyone else either glaring or frowning at him. Okay, Neji, what do you want? The man sighed and said. I understand that you resigned as a shinobi last night, but I'm afraid there is an issue with your dismissal. Bullshit. You can't turn that down, it's part of the charter, and I'm pretty sure we can take this to the royal court. I'm not saying that, but there's another issue. What? Neji exclaimed, Naruto, you are one of the last people on the planet with Uzumaki and Senju blood. The community cannot afford to lose you. More significantly, we cannot afford for your family to go away because Minato's blood has demonstrated prodigious skill. Naruto snarled, what I do with my family lineage is none of your business but mine. My father, mother, and forefathers have done nothing except give and give for the good of the village, and what have they gotten in return? Their son was treated like trash, with a life harsher than most criminals, and before one of you assholes says, I had to learn everything from the ground up. Ask Sasuke, he'll tell you. The Uchiha nodded his head, and his eyes were glowing with rage that was growing stronger than before. Regardless, Naruto, Neji frowned, by council order and the Hokage's will, you are to report to the hospital tomorrow to donate sperm so that we may ensure the continuation of your bloodlines and the Senju bloodline. Naruto's eyes widened and his chakra soared, causing the entire room to tremble as everyone saw the wrath burning through his eyes and Kurama's chakra forming around him. Who do you think you are? Naruto, this is. Fuck your requests. The whole room jumped. This is my fucking point. Nothing I do seems to be enough. For the benefit of the village, for the betterment of everybody, fuck that. I'm done prioritizing this village. I'm tired of having to give up everything so that everyone else can enjoy comfortable little lives. If it weren't for me, none of you could stop Sasuke. None of you could stand Kagaya, but I could. Nobody here could have stopped the 10 Tails, Madara, Obito, or anybody else. It required the combined force of myself and Sasuke to accomplish this, and that was after days of battle. Sasuke frowned, knowing that things were about to go out of hand and that Naruto's rage had finally subsided. He didn't want to deal with this, and he didn't want his brother to think he was a part of it. They had tried the same thing on him, but he agreed to have at least one child with Sakura to keep people away. But now he was certain that it was just their way of controlling him and Naruto. The sole reason was fear. No one could beat them, not the Kages, not the Biju, not anybody. Naruto inhaled deeply and quickly drew his chakra back in. Everything I've done, everything I've known has been the same shit since day one. Naruto turned to them, blow this request and order out your ass. Because Naruto Uzumaki is tired of being everyone's dog. Naruto spun on his heels, because Naruto Uzumaki is tired of being everyone's dog. As she approached the front door, Neji exclaimed. If you don't report, Naruto, I'll have no choice but to send Anbu to collect it. Naruto shifted his weight slightly, go ahead and do it. I'll just send them back in pieces. No one can control me anymore, Naruto slammed the door and exited the tower. I think it's time for me to get out of this shithole. The flashback concludes. Alright, finished. Naruto smiled as he tested his new arm, which allowed him to flex some of his fingers but required more work to completely move. I'm afraid that will take some getting used to. Yeah, I know. Naruto groaned as he flexed his fingers further. Wish it didn't, but nothing like good practice to get me back into the swing of things, no? Andre chuckled. You're ambitious, I'll give you that, but be careful, brat. I don't want to lose a valuable customer. Naruto grinned. Understood. Naruto exited Andre's shop and returned to the surface, passing through the church, down the elevator, and back to the shrine. As he walked around the shrine, he noticed the man he had spared standing there with a smile on his face. Thank you again, my friend, for rescuing me from that very uncomfortable situation. No problem, and who are you? Ah, how rude of me, he said, Griggs of Vanaheim. I came all this way to find my long-lost teacher Big Hat Logan. Is that a nickname? Yes. He is a prideful sorcerer who is regarded as one of the best in the world. In terms of magical understanding and skill, he easily rivals Seath. Naruto smirked. Seath? Okay, so you know a lot about magic, right? Would you like to learn some of the sorcerers I know? I'll pass on that for the time being. I'm afraid I'm not particularly magically gifted. I know how to use the storage space at random, but that's about it. The gentleman nodded. I understand that comprehending magic is difficult and taxing. Magic's power is a lost talent unless you are well educated in it or have spent a lengthy time studying it. Oh, so Vanaheim is where you're from. There is, indeed, a great school of magic and sorcery there, and something wonderful awaits all who journey there. Logan, my master, and many others who have mastered magic were from there. But I fear that my lord has come here in search of the Grand Archive, which is located near the royal capital, since his banishment. What could he possibly want so badly? Are you serious? There is unlimited wisdom, tremendous spells never seen before, and even the power of Seath himself that dwells in those hollow corridors. Naruto bowed. Sounds like those scholars who want to immerse themselves in knowledge, even if it drives them insane at times. Indeed, if Logan is still alive, we should find him and talk to him about the situation. That'll do. Well, Mr. Griggs, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, but I must depart. For example, I need to figure out what this key I received from a gigantic demon I saw earlier serves. Ah, he thought as he examined the key, it leads to the sewers. That is the most direct route to Blight Town. But be warned. There are numerous things in that area that even the most seasoned warriors would be hesitant to face. In particular, the giant rats, Naruto paled, the many monsters living in there, the undead, and rumors of a powerful creature located somewhere even deeper inside. While chopping down most of the zombies proved fruitless, Naruto was having such an easy time doing it now that he just shrugged his head and walked back into town. Walking through the location where he fought the demon, he inserted the key into the hole and unlocked the door, discovering that it led to a flight of stairs. Walking down the stairs, Naruto observed how dark this place was in comparison to most places he had visited previously, so he walked slowly down the steps before hearing two moans, one from in front of the staircase and the other from behind the staircase's corner. Knowing this, Naruto drew his sword, grasped his new arm, and dashed down, where he encountered the first undead who had been impaled with his sword through the chest and violently took his blade from his body. Naruto heard rustling behind him and turned, raising his arm, and the blade quickly collided with the metal. The blade cracked in half, leaving the zombie stunned and staring at its broken weapon. A few seconds later, his head flew away, and Naruto sighed. Well, the arm works, and you probably don't want to make it a habit of blocking weapons with it unless absolutely necessary. Naruto then proceeded into another open area where he killed 3 more undead before walking down the stairs in time to punch a dog into the staircase with his metal fist, where the creature groaned in pain but he quickly slammed his blade through the top of its skull. Naruto then proceeded to walk down this set of stairs and soon saw an opening and a singular doorway leading past the opening. Good thing I stopped by that shopkeeper behind that gate before I went any further in. The last thing you want to do is not have the required equipment to survive in this environment. He dodged under a massive swing after hearing a yell. When he looked up, He saw a green-skinned undead with a considerably larger frame and a more scary appearance. Naruto laughed as he began swinging his cleaver around. But Naruto simply rolled or hopped away from his attack, and when he saw him slam the weapon into the ground with both hands on it, he immediately stabbed his sword through his mouth. This allowed him to slay the monster in a single motion, and it soon vanished along with the rest. It's best to get moving. Naruto entered the room and heard a voice shout. Please, if anyone is there, assist me. Where are you? I'm in the far back barrel. Please free me. Don't let that thing get the best of me. What is it with people getting stuck in barrels, thought Naruto. He quickly chopped his way through, freeing a man trapped behind a barrel in the far back. The man had a little black beard and was dressed in a short hermit attire consisting of a hood, ratty shredded shirt, and sleeves. He wore bead necklaces around his neck and iron shoes on his feet. Is there a reason why you're in a barrel, or did you put yourself there? Oh my God. That creature earlier threw me into that barrel. He was about to devour me. Who would consider hiding in a barrel? That is absolute insanity. Naruto chuckled. A lot of people trust me, he groaned and said. It just goes to show how the city has softened these people. Thank you for the rescue. I'm heading to that shrine I heard about where everyone is gathered, he said with a smile. In comparison to others, there should be some form of safety there. Alright. The majority of the undead have vanished, so it should be a quick and easy trip into the shrine. Would you mind checking on the maiden for me? I saw this guy in golden armor, and he seems to be looking at her for some reason, which worries me. I'll do it because I owe you a favor, and if that woman died, the shrine would lose its power. Naruto smirked. Is there any other reason not to let him near the maiden? Sure. I'll keep an eye on it and let you know if anything happens. Naruto simply nodded. Naruto sighed as the man flew away. Alright, into the depths and the dreadful sewers. Naruto quickly entered the large area, where he slayed 2 more dogs and a massive asshole with a cleaver before collecting all of the loot. Naruto began moving through the sewer's corridors, keeping an eye out for treacherous footing. But then he noticed he had reached a ledge and gazed over it. He saw the biggest fucking rat he'd ever seen in his life there. Unholy mother of God. Naruto, pull yourself together, it is just. Naruto rushed over the edge and drove his sword straight through its skull, eliciting a painful cry, but he took his blade out and slammed it repeatedly into its head, and the beast vanished, leaving Naruto to slump and huff from exhaustion. Naruto instantly regained his courage and began looting the room for anything and everything he could find, but he did notice a black mist on the ground and scowled. What exactly is this? Humanity, Guinevere added. From what I understand, if they have it and use it, it helps return hollows to their original form. It will accomplish nothing for you, but it is a must-have item for others. Naruto sighed and swiftly sent it away, grabbing the other stuff in the room before going along the passageways. He massacred more rats there, got lost in a passage, slaughtered more rats, and repeated the procedure. He found additional material lying around and eventually located an entrance where he could glimpse some light after fighting rats and some critters he called slimes. However, the moment he stepped into the opening, he was surrounded by additional rats and one of the church's monsters, who was casting spells at him. Naruto swiftly ducked back into the corridor and began letting the rats in. He would thrust his blade into their heads or open their jaws, causing them to fall to the ground and then disperse after death. He went out into the open area and ducked behind a wall to avoid a powerful spell cast directly at him after doing this process 6 times. Naruto smirked as he observed how long it took him to summon and fire the magic. Roll and duck. Naruto sprang from behind the wall and rolled beneath the spell, smashing his sword through the monster's armor as it shrieked in pain. But it didn't die, instead whirling around and aiming its trident at his skull. Naruto backed up and slashed his sword through the monster's back, causing it to scream once again. Naruto then drew his sword, chopping off his weapon hand and dropping it to the ground before kicking it up and driving it into the monster's head. Now, drop dead. The monster did exactly that, dispersing into a blinding light. Naruto groaned and went to discover more of that black metal element in one of the surrounding bodies. He had no idea what it was for, but he knew it had to be essential because he was discovering them when battling specific monsters and in certain regions that were well hidden. Naruto scowled as he approached the opening area. Something was keeping everything away, and he could sense it, but there was no need in worrying about it. He needed to get down there first. As he ascended the stairs, he approached the mist door and passed through, leading to more rats. I fucking hate rats. He spent about an hour slicing through various rodents who were either rushing him or sending others after him, as well as a couple who were hiding in boxes. Naruto hated to admit it, but he was sick and weary of dealing with trash. Fortunately, he discovered one of the bonfires, and after a few moments there, he continued down the corridor, where he soon saw an intriguing entrance. He frowned as it was locked. A merchant sat there, but he didn't look at him for a second before turning his head up. Ah, another traveler seeking Blight Town. If you want to enter, you must claim the key. Naruto groaned and said, "How much? I'm afraid I don't have it." "Then who does?" "Ah, that would be the creature who rules the depths," he said as he pointed back the way he came. "Climb down a few flights of stairs the way you came and you'll find yourself in that nice open area. But be warned. This is not a creature you can easily defeat." Naruto grinned. "Thanks for the advice. Do you have anything for sale before I get this show on the road?" "Of course, feel free to take a look." Naruto searched the inventory before locating a certain box and reading the directions, claiming that it is a very useful item. "I'll take this one." "Excellent decision, sir. Anything you're carrying will be transferred into this box if you're already at your carrying capacity." Naruto grinned and nodded, but he was curious about his carrying capacity. He made a shaky motion with his head. "No time for that," Naruto said as he paid with souls and returned to the place where he had previously encountered the chandelier monster, as Guinevere referred to it. He discovered a hidden staircase behind a pillar and began heading down it as well as another flight of stairs. Naruto shook his head when he noticed two golden signs on the ground near to one of the pillars. "I'd better do this on my own for the time being." Naruto continued down the final set of steps, and after passing through the gate, he heard something rumbling. He had no idea what it was, but it was nearby. Soon after, a little head appeared from where the water was falling, and he smiled. "Cute." The thing began to emerge more, displaying many legs and a cavernous chest filled with large, vicious teeth. "Oh my fuck." Naruto scowled as the beast growled. "I don't think my sword will enough, and I don't have anything." Naruto rolled out of the way of the creature's charge, causing everything around him to tremble and even rain debris on them. "Fuck." Naruto charged towards the thing, slashing at one of its legs, which it stomped with a powerful stomp. Naruto moved back swiftly to avoid being hit, but he noticed that he had barely left a mark on the thing. "You can't beat this thing, Naruto. We require something larger." "I understand. But how can we get out of this?" "Naruto, do you remember that trinket you bought a while ago? The one with the strange pulsing sensation?" "Yeah." Naruto rolled out of the way of the thing's charge, and the creature merely roared louder, forcing more debris to fall. "Use it. It will transport you to the closest fire shrine." Naruto immediately willed the object into his hand, then smiled at the monster after smashing it. "Don't worry, I'll come back later to kill you." The creature let out a tremendous growl and charged at him again, but he vanished in a puff of white smoke. Naruto awoke to find himself back at the shrine and grumbled angrily. "Damn it. Relax, we had to expect something like this to happen sooner or later. It's a good thing we had one of those since now we can plan how we're going to deal with him." "Yeah. But we need a powerful weapon to even deal damage to that creature, as well as maybe upgrading and mending our armor." "True Naruto, go back to Andre and trade some of our stuff for souls. We can use it to repair your armor and weapons, and if we find the crafting kit, we can even get him to level up the weapons." Naruto nodded, his gaze narrowing. "I'll return for him. I'll never run from another fight. He'll die by my hands the next time." To be continued.
That's it for this part, guys. Thanks for listening to this video. I hope you did enjoy this part of the story, and if you did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support, and have a great day.